Hello and welcome to Retro Core, and we're going to be taking a look and testing lag on the Wingman Converter PS2. Yes, welcome to another Retro Core hardware review, and today we're taking a look at another Brook device. I absolutely love Brook devices, very high quality, and they always work straight out of the box, although you can update the firmware on them when need be. Today we're going to be taking a look at this. This device will allow you to use USB controllers and Bluetooth controllers on your original PlayStation, your PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 fat and slim models. As you can see, basically it allows you to use all sorts of model controllers on your PlayStation device. So taking a look at the actual cartridge itself, I don't know if we could call it a cartridge, well, joystick port adapter should call it. You can see we have a little LED indicator there. We have a USB port where you can plug in your USB controllers. We have a micro USB port which is used for updating the firmware if need be, and the other end is just a typical PlayStation port where you plug it into your PlayStation's control socket. That's all there is to it. So let's get this thing connected up to the PlayStation and see how it works. So here's the PlayStation 1. This is the redesigned slim model, but of course, as I mentioned before, this adapter will work with the original model as well. So you may be thinking you have to take out your PlayStation memory cards to install this Brook device because it is quite chunky. Actually you don't. You can keep your memory cards in and this plugs straight into the joypad port. No problems whatsoever. And the first controller we're going to be checking it out with is the Astro City USB controller from Sega. And we just connect this with a USB cable here. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And this will be automatically configured to work as a PlayStation controller. So basically you got your start and select, and this is your 4 face buttons in the same order as the PlayStation, and these become L and R. And of course the D-pad is the D-pad. So let's check it out. Okay, so here we are taking a look at the PS1 running Raiden Project, and we're looking at Raiden 2, or Raiden 2, however you want to pronounce it. And yes, we are using the Astro City controller. So inserting the credits there, no problem. Watch this. I'd say that was pretty instant, wouldn't you? Let's start the game and you'll see that there's absolutely no issues at all with controlling this game, you know, via the Astro City controller, which is going into the Brook PS2, or the Wingman PS2 I should say. And all the buttons are configured correctly. Look at that. No issues whatsoever. But I'm sure you want to know how much lag there is. Well, let's check out the lag, and we'll do this with a slow motion camera as well. Let's check that out. So for the experiment regarding the frame times, what we're going to do is take a look at the credits counter here. So with the adapter in place, we're going to be using the Astro City as we have been. And without the adapter, we're going to use this Hori controller. This is basically exactly the same as a normal PlayStation controller. Why aren't I using a real PlayStation controller? Well, because I don't have one. I hate the D-pads on PlayStation controllers, so I use this Hori one instead. But this will not be using any converters. This is going straight into the PlayStation, so it will have the exact same response time as a normal PlayStation controller. And what we're going to do is we're going to see how long it takes in frames from pressing the select button to the credits changing. Okay, let's take a look, and we're going to be looking at this in 960 frames per second. Now the timer starts exactly as the button hits the PCB, so basically when the contact is made. Now unfortunately my software does not allow frame counting at 960 frames per second, and this video is 60 frames per second, so we're going to have to do some mathematics. So direct to the PlayStation, it's 155 frames at 60 frames per second. So what we do is we divide 155 frames by 960 frames per second, which gives us a lag of 0.16 seconds. Okay, so that's direct to the PlayStation. Let's take a look using the Brook Wingman converter. And as you can see, using the Wingman PS2 converter from Brook, we get 227 seconds of lag. So again, let's do the same mathematics. From pressing a button to the credits changing is 227 frames at 60 frames per second. We take 227 frames divided by 960 frames per second, and that gives us a lag in seconds of 0.23. So as you can see, the difference between this and going direct into the PlayStation is minimal. I mean, there's a tiny bit of lag, so small. I mean, it's less than 0.10 of a second. In fact, that could be down to my timing of the button press on the timer. You know, it's not exactly spot on, so maybe I'm a little bit off. But needless to say, if there is lag, it's so low, you'll never notice. So we've seen the Wingman running on a PlayStation 1, we've checked the input latency, but now it's time to see it working on a PlayStation 2 with analog controls. So we're going to connect this up with a Bluetooth controller. Now it's very simple to do. All you need to do is press this little flashing LED here. It actually doubles up as a button, and you press the sync button on your controller and it should, in theory, sync up together. So let's do that. Okay, so we're holding that down. See, it's rapidly flashing. Hold down the sync button there. Alright, light is white. We are in and the game is working. We are now controlling it, as you can see. Very simple. So let's move the camera up a little bit so you can take a look at the screen. Okay, so let's press the start button. And as you can see, that works perfectly fine. Analog is working. Let's pick new game. A button. Yep, A button it is. Let's get into it. Okay, let's see. Yep, analog works perfectly fine. This is only a single analog game, unfortunately, so we can't use the other stick. And the L and R triggers are all set up perfectly fine, as they should be. Yeah, it is only a single analog stick game, this one. How about playing Virtual Fighter with a great big massive joystick? Yes, that is also possible. Let's take a look. Well, it would be if I could figure out which was the start button. There we go. So this joystick is homemade by myself, and as you can see, it's working perfectly fine here on the PlayStation 2. Alright, where's my buttons? Here we go. Okay. Should have configured the buttons first. But absolutely no problems whatsoever. And just to show you that this joystick is connected to the PlayStation 2 via USB, let's take a look. Now, using this great big massive joystick does take up quite a bit more power than a standard joypad. So you'll notice we've got another cable coming out of the Wingman PS2 here, and that is connected up to a battery bank. And basically what this battery bank does is give the Brook Wingman 2 a little bit more juice, so we can use great big heavy juicy joysticks like this. But if you're using standard controllers like the PlayStation 4 controller here, or this Bluetooth controller, or any other basic controller, you do not need to add the battery bank. And look at that, quality PlayStation 2, it has frozen. Look at that. Ah, Sony, you make quality machines, don't you? So there you have it, that is the Wingman Converter PS2 from Brook. excellent bit of kit. Not only does it let you use different controllers on a PlayStation or PlayStation 2, but you can also remap the buttons and add rapid fire to individual buttons as well. It's all explained on the Brook website, so if you're interested in knowing how to do that, go and check out the official Brook website. Also on the website they have a little template where you can make your own stickers to go on the front of this device as well, which is pretty cool. So, another excellent product from Brook. I'm telling you, man, every time I try something from this company, it never disappoints. It's good. They make quality items. Link in the video description down below. Check it out.